Fair from filmfestivalcircuit.com and the director of the Oregon Short Film Festival. We have an event coming up in fall 2022 on October the 14th at the Clinton Street Theater. We're happy to be back. And we are going to be screening a film that has been nominated for the Best Romantic Comedy Film Award. And that film is Swing, directed by Brock Forrette. Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Michael. I'm doing good. Thanks for having us.
We're also joined today by actors Mary Riitano and Andrew Cottrell. How you doing?
Good. We're doing great.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us, Michael.
Thank you. We're excited to screen this. We're excited to have you here today. And I have a real bad habit of giving away the story, so I'm going to go ahead and allow you, Brock. Please give us the synopsis of Swing.
Okay. So Swing is it's a romantic comedy at its heart with a little dash of magical realism, I think. But it is a story about these characters, Paul and Terri, who are played by Andy and Mary. They are they're sort of they're a middle-aged couple, kind of at the middle of road of life. They've been together for a long time, and the romantic spark in them has kind of died out. And where we pick up with them is the film begins with, we have Mary's character. Terri is kind of actively trying to reignite this spark and get Paul's attention back and bring them back together. But Paul is kind of only preoccupied with like his own kind of loss of youth and vitality and, all these things that come with aging and getting older and things like that. So he's kind of out to lunch, and then sort of at the end of the first act of the film, a mysterious package arrives on their doorstep in the middle of the night, and I don't know if I should give it away here. I'd like people to see the film, but This mysterious package will either reignite their flame or drive them even further apart. So that's the crux of Swing.
Well, I tell you what, the judges were very impressed by not only the acting performance and the story, but just the relatability of this situation that happens to so many people, to so many couples. After being married a long time, people change, and I think that people just really related. They felt like the story was a story that was near and dear to just. You've seen relatives go through this thing, or maybe yourself has gone through this thing. Some of these situations end up in divorce. And I just like how you laid it all out and were able to do that with some humor. So
thank you.
Good job with that. So we're going to talk about what I'd like to ask every one of you is about your inspiration for this film. And we'll start with you, Mary, on this one. When you saw this role and you learned about this role, what is it about this role that attracted you to Swing?
What attracted me to the role of Terri is the fact that Terri is the one that is poking the fires, poking the embers. Is there anything left here? Terri's going through, I believe, an identity shift. I envisioned her being more of a kept at-home wife. They've decided not to have children, and the marriage being her place of creativity and sexuality and power. I'm envisioning her. I was the instigator. It's like, let's poke this. Does it actually have any life back in it? I want to feel something. Does he want to feel something? And I believe my characters at the early onset, or maybe even far into, maybe I need to go continue life in a different way.
Interesting. Same question to you, Andrew. What was your inspiration when you looked at this role?
Well, my inspiration was I actually fit the role, like as it was written, like an overweight, chubby, middle-aged guy who has lost all his testosterone. Nothing is going to stimulate him, not even the crazy people at his work, and he's seeing this picture every single day. But yeah, I mean, I was actually walking into that stage in my life as we were going through this role. And funny thing, and I'm an open book. I don't keep any secrets. it actually happened in real life. After this film, we ran out of steam in my marriage and we divorced, and I've since been remarried, but I kind of walked that role that I had with Terri. So, but I felt like other than the mustache, because I don't have a face that grows a beard at all, I just have these patches. The struggling to get that creepy mustache was tough, but I got it done. And anybody in my life that looked at me like, Andy, what are you doing? Why do you have the mustache? I was in an improv comedy troupe at the time, so they thought it had something to do with that. And I'm like, no. I have something completely different I'm doing. But yeah, I felt like I felt inspired by myself to be Paul.
Nice. And maybe you could answer this one, Brock, because the last time I was in LA, I saw a return of the adult film industry stashes all over the place.
Yeah.
I was rocking one for several years too. Yeah, I also had one.
Well, talk to us, Brock. I mean, obviously you have a long road with this film, which you can explain as well. But what inspired you not only to create it, but what inspired you to finish it?
Yeah, great question. So the film itself was shot over 7 years ago, or about 7 years ago. We shot this in August of 2015. I just finished it in June of this year. But so what inspired me to make it at the time? Well, I guess the answer to that is that I had graduated film school in Montana. I had made a few films there. I had finished film school. I took a year just to kind of figure out my life post-grad. And all I really knew that I wanted to do was to make another film. And so I had this idea for this film that, it was just this couple where the spark has gone out. And I think, I had inspiration from that, just like witnessing adults in my life. My parents divorced and stuff. So I'm like a child of that kind of the spark dying and stuff like that. So I was interested in a story like that, with kind of a magical tinge to it as well. So that was sort of the initial inspiration. And then I had worked with Mary on my college thesis film, which was a horror film. And she was just a small part in it, but a very crucial part in the very beginning of the film. And I just loved working with her. And so when I had this idea for these two people who were, in their sort of mid 40s, husband and wife, I was immediately like, well, I have to cast Mary, my awesome collaborator. And we haven't stopped. She's been the biggest champion of this film in the post-production process as well. I have to give shout out to Mary on that. She's been helping with festival submissions and just keeping me inspired and the creative energy going and flowing between us. So that was kind of like where I was 7 years ago when I made it. And then life just took so many turns. And like I don't remember if you said this while we were recording, if this was before, but how oftentimes post-production, there's just sort of one person shepherding everything. And I did have some help in the post-production process, like my awesome producer, Brian Hoffman. He helped edit a good portion of the film. He's, and then my friends, Katie Roberts and Sam Hedlund, Vinny, those guys all killed it. And then a bunch of other folks helped finish this project. But really what, got me to finish it was just the love and support from everybody in my life, Mary included. And, just everybody just loving it and being like, when's it gonna be finished? When's it gonna be finished? And I'm like, I don't know. And there were so many little components that I had to kind of piece together. And then at the same time, you're just kind of, life is throwing you curveballs, and people are moving, and tragedies happen, and things that just slow the process down, and life takes hold, and then a pandemic happens, right? And that throws everybody else off even more. And so eventually I finally found the steam again about late last year, and finally got all the remaining components put together. And so I guess that, to answer your question, to say what got me inspired to finish it was just the people in my life. Like, I couldn't have done this. I mean, filmmaking is such a collaborative process with it's all about relationships. It's all about people. So I wouldn't be able to finish it without them. So.
Well, that's important to have people around you that encourage you, people to remind you. Artists are, a lot of our creativity rides along our wave of emotion. And so, how we feel about a project. And now that you've done it, you're feeling good. Now you're nominated for an award. Now it's getting out there. So, all is well as end well, that ends well. And
exactly. Exactly.
I'm going to rewind. Oh, go ahead, Brock.
Well, I just want to say too, like the last thing I think that helped me like finally finish the film that I wanted to include that because it was so long, it was like 7 years of not, there was a part of me that was kind of like, what am I even looking at even anymore? Like, what is this film to me now as this person who's now 30 years old? Like what I just, it was just it's just a weird process, like having that relationship with that film. And then I did the music for the movie. So that actually was what helped me like refuel too, was like, oh, now I have a new creative connection to this project. And I always knew like music would be hugely important for like the tone of this movie too. And so that was always something I was like just really struggling with finding the right tone. But that process definitely also like brought it all together as well. So.
This guy said 30 years old. Like that's old. Like
I could be your dad.
We were 20. I was 23 when I shot it. I mean, it's crazy. Like, yeah. So anyway.
Oh, good. I just ribbing you a little bit.
No.
So, well, I'll tell you what, man. It's inspiring that you got it done. I hope that people watching this understand it's quite an undertaking, and that leads me to my next question. I'll start with you, Mary, on this one. What was your gateway into the industry? At some point you're a person with good ideas, or just someone who maybe thinks they have talent, or your friends are telling you to get involved in film, but what was your step? What was that first step into like, okay, I'm going to act, or I'm going to write a screenplay, or I'm going to put myself out there? What was that first step for you?
As a younger adult, the first step was following that internal like push for creativity, and I connected myself to the community theaters here in town. And that was my very first step as a young adult, doing that, getting connected to acting and realizing, wow, I remember it as a child, finding my joy as a 9-year-old playing Minnie Mouse on stage. And then there was a long journey of refinding it. As Brock said, life happens. I had kids when I was a teenager. So my life really took some drastic twists and turns and growth. Rediscovering it as a young adult put me back on the path of finding that joy, that kernel that makes you just, oh, I've got to share this, and I want everybody else in the world to feel this feeling, and I want to connect with that, connect with other people to grow that feeling. And in that community theater setting, I was feeling also another push to grow. And I had a director that I worked with that I just adored. And he went off to start a black box theater. And there was a few of us that followed him along to help open that black box theater, IT Productions here in town. And I spent 7 years really growing myself as an artist, understanding all the different parameters of set and theatrical production, grew myself on the ground. I don't have any collegiate or formal training. It's all been trial by fire, learning as I go. And when that theater, it closed. It was tough to keep a black box open in a small town, and it closed for financial reasons. I felt homeless for a while. I thought, now what? The things I was being called to were propelling me outward, but what I was looking for, I didn't know until I started doing some soul searching, and that soul searching led me back to some modeling and some other things I'd done as a younger version of myself. And I connected with a former modeling coach here in Montana, and I said, I laid out my dilemma. Where do I go? I feel homeless. There's not anything that when I close my eyes and I reach around me, there's nothing right now that I can add palpably to that joy that I wanted to carry forward. So, I mean, in a way, it was good that homelessness happened, and me being a young parent at that time as well, I threw myself into learning. My daughter is a professional snowboarder now, and my other daughter is now graduated with a master's degree in a very fancy terminology that has to do with artificial intelligence and computer research and application programming. So, I mean, I really dug in to help them grow. And in doing that and reaching back to my modeling roots, I thought, what a great thing this would be as a youngin'. I also remember being so captured by film. So one of my first films, I credit my first muse, Jane Fonda. I watched this movie, Cat Blue. It was an old Western, and I remember people diving in and out of windows, and I thought, I want to dive into the TV. I want to be part of the story.
Sure.
And so all of this percolating into, let's take this theatrical acting and evolve it to film acting. And that was my way into film acting. And then it was as Montana now is kind of a hot spot to be filming, and at the time it wasn't. So I was having to generate a lot of curiosity conversations by volunteering at film festivals, which made me personally fall back in love with film. I love the stories like The Matrix and the Big Box and the I don't know what they call them, the active, oh, help me. the really action adventure kind of thing. But what really drew me back into story, honestly, was starting to volunteer at film festivals and being mesmerized by what people around me were on the ground creating and sharing at film festivals. And that was my gateway into film acting. And from there, I really started reaching out to stretch outside of Montana for training. I went to LA to the Margie Haber studio. I've gone to Portland for AMAW and to Atlanta. I went outside of the market that I was in to train because it wasn't on the ground here. So that is my gateway into film, and I've been propelling myself forward since. And Hollywood's finding Montana, which is great.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, what about you, Andrew?
Oh, I'm going to give you the 2 hour. Do we have 2 hours? Okay. No, I'm going to put it in a nutshell, but it's all, and I found out this later when I was in an improv troupe and we were hiring someone every year to come. I'm going to go full circle. We were hiring someone to come from the Second City area to give us training. We weren't hacks. We actually, they beat the crap out of you when you're learning improv. But getting to improv, I had been saying the crucial thing since 2012 was yes. I owned a restaurant in Maine, and some clients or customers of mine, and I was there from 2011, 2016. In 2012, I was invited to a party, and I watched this guy play a keyboard and another guy play guitar and sing. And I went up to him after the party. I was drunk and said, I want to be in your band. And like, what do you play? And I go, I don't know. What do you want me to play? And so they said, be a drummer. And I said, great. Went the next day to the music store, said, I don't know how to play drums. Can you teach me? Yes. And then I went to a venue and said, we want to book a gig for my band. And they knew who I was. They're like, you're not in a band. You don't play any music. I said, yeah, I do. My band's called Monthly Payment. He said, all right, 6 weeks. I want you here in 6 weeks. I want 40 songs. We'll put you on a Friday night. 6 weeks later, we had about 32 songs done. I had found a bass player in the meantime and another singer. But everybody said yes to the guy that didn't know music. So I appreciated them saying yes to me. I said yes to them by hard work. Got to Montana. I now knew how to play a cajon and some drums, had a 2-man band. We decided to do some improv games at a Carroll College festival. Then we decided to do an improv troupe, said yes, 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 yes. I say yes. I'm a yes man. When I get a call from anybody that says you want to be in a movie, yes. Like, yes. Who gets to be in a movie? I mean, Star Wars was I wanted to be Han Solo so bad. I'm sorry we didn't have a spin-off of Star Wars with this one. Swing was awesome. But with the yes thing, I had also worked for KRTV, which is a TV station out of Great Falls. as a salesperson when I had gotten back from Maine in 2016, and they asked me to audition for spokesperson for a grocery chain. And I said yes. And we did 35 commercials for the grocery chain in 2 years. I was used to the camera, all that. I wasn't that afraid. But I'm like a full-time student in everything. I learn. I wanted to see a movie set. I wanted to see what these cats were doing. I knew nothing about it. I knew about TV sets and on location stuff, but I didn't know what was going to happen. But I said yes because I'm like, here's an adventure. I was scared to death. I had to get a talking to from Brock at one point. Remember that dude in the basement? You're like, everybody stop. And you said, come here. You were so gentle with me. Come here. And you took me in a room, closed the door, and you said, what's going on? We really need you. It was when I was coming off the step, seeing her in the swing, and I'm like, Terri, it just wasn't coming out right.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, this is for real. But it was so professional. That's what I took back and told everybody is like, I want to do this again. It's inspired me to write and do other things. I have a whole studio in my house now because of this, because of Swing.
Right.
I've got 3 cameras, GoPros, lights, everything. I film all my own commercials for my own company because of you guys inspired me. And the slow cooking makes good eating is also inspiring too. When you come back 7 years later and say, I'm done. I was pushing you little. I was like, hey, Brock, what's up? What are you doing? And you're like, oh, man, I'm working on. I'm like, I'm not. I just want to know how you're doing. I don't really care about swing. I really care about swing.
Ditto. Yeah.
But
yeah,
my inspiration is just saying yes. And I love to entertain. I like to make people happy. I like to see happy people. And the script was like, this is the best first script I could ever do. And with a very graceful Mary Riitano, you were butter to work with. And I've had to work with, and you have too, to work with some people that it's kind of like, I need to be in my spot and you're not letting me. You guys always let me be in that really amateur spot. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
Thanks
touching,
for everything
man.
that you. Yeah, it was.
So, and then one other thing I want to say, Brock, one of your other productions, I had to show to my daughter the other day, and you know which one I'm talking about. Can I mention it? Is it okay?
Yeah, sure.
Grasshopper?
Grasshoppers. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's chasing kids at 8 years old around that don't want to hang out with her.
Yeah.
And there's one girl that is absolutely fantastic. So I sat her down and I said, you got to see this. And understood. She goes, oh, I just have to be myself and people will come to me. Yeah. You have a lot in common with people that you're not even looking at right now. So I think that's an amazing piece of work too.
It is.
Amazing.
Yeah. Brock's early works are very much full of heart and professionalism.
Oh, it's awesome. Awesome.
I was just looking it up, seeing if I could find your production on my phone. I was like, let me look this up. You have to send me a link to it.
I will. Yeah, it's a Vimeo.
It will make you cry. It will make you cry. It made me cry.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, I was just trying to.
Like I said, I have no secrets here. I just tell you how I am.
All right, Brock. Since you got to follow up all those. They were so transparent, both Mary and Andrew, just so transparent about getting in this industry. And we know that you moved to LA, and we know that you started in Montana, and we know that you've been at this a while, and you've gone through the pandemic. But what else can you tell us about how you started in this industry?
Well, so another part of like what I think caused so many delays in getting the film wrapped was that like we finished it, and then about a month later I moved to LA, and so that was kind of like the big, my next big adventure. I mean, I had born and raised Montana. I didn't really think I'd ever really even leave, and then I was just like, okay, if I'm gonna do this film thing, like I gotta give it a real shot. Like I gotta go out into the world a bit, and so I started working, just like PA jobs, stuff like that, and then I eventually got a job at a production company. They did like commercial productions, and I was the PA there for like a year, and then kind of slowly worked my way up to be like a junior producer for like digital campaigns and stuff. So that was like a completely different world. It was like very close to advertising, but on the production side. And so it wasn't exactly what I thought I'd be doing, but it was like a really interesting experience. I mean, I learned a ton about how like the actual inside of the machine works. And so, yeah, so then that was like, I mean, that was kind of my big, introduction into like the industry. And now I'm kind of more on the education side of that. So I actually work at Occidental College now in the Media Arts and Culture program. So I'm working with students. I'm their equipment specialist. So I sort of run their cage, their gear room. And I really like that too. So the industry and making films on an independent level and with friends in these like smaller, tight knit kind of like how Andy and Mary were expressing, like it's us, it's a small crew, it's friends, it's family, it's a tight knit unit where there's that sort of ability to play and explore. That's the type of filmmaking that I found that I really, really love. Working in the industry itself was a great learning lesson for me. And I still, want to be in the industry, and I still intend to continue to work inside the industry. But finding a way that's, I don't know, more of a almost like holistic approach, just like, sometimes I feel like the industry can kind of chew people up and spit you out, and it could be hard. It could be really, really difficult. And when I sort of transitioned away from working, industry wise, more kind of in the melding of and molding of minds, I guess, part of it, that for me has been extremely rewarding. Getting to work at that level with students, with young and upcoming students. I mean, I see so much of myself in them, and it's just like, and then I think about where I was when I made Swing, and where they will be when they're graduating and the films that they go on to. So it's cool to like impart some of that experience and hopefully some wisdom into them, and just sharing that too with them, and get stoked on their projects as well. Because I think like people just need people need to be excited and to be motivated and to be told like, yes, you can do it, because there's so many things in this world pushing you away and saying like, no, that's not good enough, or that's too hard, or whatever. So
for real.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, basically my last question for the day, and we'll go around for each and every one of you. But my last question for the day is going to be, what do you have planned for the future? What's going on next after Swing? And I'll start with you, Mary. What do you have cooking?
What do I got cooking? Well, I feel so fortunate that Swing is going to be taking a festival run. So that is one of the maybe perhaps obvious upfront activities. I'm excited to be behind and helping Brock with the festival strategy and sharing the film. I have another short film that is also on festival right now titled Homestead. And we are premiering that here in Montana in September. So that's fantastic. And I am in process right now that Montana is definitely a place that a lot of people have discovered. And a couple of other things that I've been doing here is I'm figuring out my way into auditioning for 1923, which is in between the Yellowstone series and 1883. And
Oh, wow.
yes, the 1923 series will be filming in Butte, which is about 65 miles south of me, which is amazing. So yeah, having a discussion with the agent that I'm working with and finding the auditions and my way into that would be amazing. And as far as like other work that I've got out there, during the pandemic, right prior to the pandemic, I was fortunate enough to have been working, and 3 films were in the can, slightly ahead of the pandemic, closing everything down. And throughout the pandemic, they landed on Amazon Prime. And I am beyond excited to have the cast and the crews that I've worked with and our work out there. So if you're looking to check out those works, I have 3 films. Like I said, there's Wuthering Heights, which is based on the novel of Emily Bronte, and it's a screenplay version filmed here in Montana. And 2 more original stories that we've got We Burn Like This, which is on a festival run and doing very well as far as awards. And it's a coming of age story about some of the anti-Semitic behavior and activity that was going on here in Montana. And Useless, which is a charming Hallmark type horse movie where I'm a horse trainer. So all three of those right now are available on Amazon Prime.
Nice.
All right. If you want to put those links in our chat, I'll make sure to make sure that they're in the body of this this stream as well, in this video.
Okay.
So we'd love to promote your work.
Oh, fantastic.
And then, what about you, Andrew? What's going on with you?
I have written a script for Swing 2, and it's me and Mary 7 years later. And Brock shows up on our front door as a long-lost son I had when I was a minor league baseball player. I'd had a kid I didn't know in Alabama. He shows up, and we have to work out all this other stuff with a kid now. No, I'm kidding. What I'm going to do is we have My Brother's Basement is sort of just in a transcript. I've been working on this for a long time, and it's about an issue that I had when I was back in Maine with my brother, who was deceased, died before I came back here. But all the other issues that revolve around firstborn, secondborn, two boys in the family. One stays at home, and then one leaves and comes back, and all the animosity starts. Lots of fighting and stuff. Very east, northeast, so it's very northeast. And then my wife is helping me write a story called Harmless Monsters. It's man-made objects v. nature, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And there's two young kids and a grandfather that have sort of this clairvoyancy into what's happening. And then there's a man-made natural object that sort of mediates. It's very complicated, but not whatever. I film all my own TV commercials for my company now. I'm terrible at it. I would love some training, Brock. I do the best I can, but it's just fun. It's a hobby for me. And I'm going to start All About Helena with Golden West, which is my company. You'll be able to go onto YouTube. You can see my two commercials on All About Helena with Golden West right now. And I'm just going to add to it. So I'm going to go around and film all the interesting things and people and businesses in Helena as sort of a guide for people that want to come into this area. That's what I got going, and raising a 6 and an 8-year-old.
Wow, hands full. All right, Brock. Well, you left Montana for LA, and LA left LA for Montana. So where are you going next?
Yeah. Well, I'm sticking around here for the time being, and hopefully see these two in Montana around Christmas time. If y'all are around, we got to get a Montana screening of Swing going. So we got to connect with some local theaters there or something. Yeah, so I mean, working here in the education system, the school's about to start up, so things are going to get pretty busy. I'm working on a project right now with a friend of mine named Cooper Vacheron. He's a great director and VFX artist. He actually did the VFX work on Swing. We've been co-writing a script together for actually about a couple of years now. We've been kind of slowly tweaking it. We're on about draft 10 now, but it's a short film. It's called Wildwood, and with the intention that Cooper is going to direct it and I'm actually going to act in it. And it's kind of based on it's kind of a surreal kind of horror comedy, I guess. And kind of based on a strange experience I had in the woods in Portland, actually, when I was living up there a couple of years ago. So I'm excited to get the wheels moving on that project. And yeah, we'll see. Now that Swing is done and wrapped, I feel like I have so much creative energy, and I'm so excited to not only get Swing further on the festival run, like Mary said. I mean, get this thing out. I'm so proud of it now, and so happy that it's complete and that I can just give it to people in a nice little package now and be like, hey, here's the movie. It's actually done. So
stuff.
Yeah. So, and Andy, if you need help with any film stuff, I'll send you my rate, man. So I can come up with
I know. Listen, I got to pay for it. I'm a yes guy. I told you that already.
Dude,
it's just trying to navigate through the post-production, which is the toughest.
You can pay me in garlic bulbs. I'll take that.
Final Cut Pro and garlic bulbs. You guys use Adobe though, right? What do you
What?
use?
Yeah, Adobe. Yeah,
Mhm.
pretty much. Yeah, Premiere. We cut this one on Premiere. Yeah. So.
All right. Well, I'm going to go around the room one more time. If there's anything you'd like to add before we go, and then we'll wrap it up. So, Mary, is there anything you want to add before we leave?
I have a great deal of gratitude for people that take the time to watch all of us independent artists as we're making our way, watching our story, sharing them with other people. I'll cry. I'm a crier, but I'm just really, really grateful. And I'm grateful for you for picking up our film, Michael. And we're going to get on promoting it there so that people see it. Because, yeah, it's a way in, I think. And I think we're all looking for our way back to our joy right now.
Sure. All right. Well, thank you for the kind words. We work hard on this. None of our judges have our own films in the festival. We're just showcasing you. And, we feel like we got a great group again. Oregon Short Film Festival is very competitive, and it's difficult to get into. And kudos to you for bringing us a fantastic production like this. And we appreciate you guys. And it's a labor of love. The judges sit down and watch hours and hours and hours. If you average it out, we all be making about 80 cents an hour, for the time we spend doing this. But you have to like it to want it, And
Yeah.
The end product is good. I hope you're able to make it because the end product is really cool. And I think you'll see a lot of things you like. Andrew, what else you got there, buddy? Anything else?
So I'm going to dovetail right off Mary and also include Brock and everybody that's creating still and putting really professional stuff together so that it does interest the people, and thank the people for coming and saying, hey, this is worth it. These people that are making these films and in creating are putting their heart and soul into it. Mary, it's a cry moment. I mean, I feel like I'm sitting here like with you guys. It's just like I saw you like yesterday, which I did because I watched the movie again. But man, the independent, especially film, like you were saying, Brock. When you got a family, it's different than dealing with people that are just there for jobs. We were there to take care of each other and knew we were responsible for each other. So we had to give it everything. And I think you can feel it. I really do. I love that small production feeling. So thanks to all of you. And Michael, this opportunity is awesome.
Thank you. And that leaves it with you, Brock.
Oh man, I can't say enough. Thanks to first you, Michael, for picking up this film again, and I really hope that we're able to make it out there to Portland. And if not, I will get our Portland crew rallied and get those tickets bought so we can have an audience there for our film. And it's wow, this is awesome. Thank you just so much for having us here. Like, this has been such a joy to do. Especially just seeing these two again. Like I said, I mean, I haven't even seen, I don't think I've seen Andy's face, maybe through a screen once since we finished. We've talked on the phone a couple times, but dude, it's so awesome to see you, Andy. Mary, it's always great to see you, of course. And I just would want to thank like my entire crew, and there's a lot of names in there that they're in the credits, and they killed it. I couldn't have done it without them. But I just want to thank you two again for just being willing to play with me and go down this road and have a 23-year-old kid write dialogue for some age, some middle-aged.
Whoa, easy. I'm kidding. I know who I am. I'm very comfortable in my skin.
I don't know how to cushion that. No, just for you could have been like, oh, this kid's out of his depth, but you played with me, and I know it was like the first big like acting role that you took, Andy. So minus the commercial stuff, but So that was just, I'm just really proud of both of your performances too. I mean, that's that big thing. I mean, I knew Mary's work and I had worked with her before and I knew she would turn out, and I was like, this Andy guy, I don't know, man, we'll see. But no, dude, I mean, you were just down for anything and everything. And that's, what you need with a good collaborator like that. And, you just trusted me. And, I thank you, man, because I think your performance freaking kills in this movie.
Thanks. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. All right, everybody, that's all the time we got for today. Thank you again for joining us, and I hope that if you're in the Portland area, you're able to come out and see the festival in October. And if not, then you'll get these updates and things online. It was just good to go behind the scenes, and really, all of you have been so transparent about your experiences, and I think people are going to get a lot out of it. So, thank you very much for your time today.
Cool. Thank you, Michael.
Michael.
Thank you.